On Monday, September 17th, 1984, in Flowing Wells, Arizona, 8-year-old Vicki Hoskinson asked permission from her mother to ride her bike to the mailbox to send out a birthday card to her aunt. This was the first time Vicki's mother ever allowed any of her children to go out on their own, unless they teamed up using the buddy system. After Vicki left and not returning back after 20 minutes, her mother sent Vicki's 11-year-old sister to look for her. After Stephanie left to look for Vicki, she found Vicki's bike laying on the side of the road a few blocks away and 1 block from an elementary school. Thereafter, Vicki's sister rushed home and told her mother, Debbie Clarkson, who then drove to where the bike was found and placed the bike in the back of her trunk. She then called the Pima County Sheriff's Department, where detectives responded. Within a few hours later, they set up a command center. After conducting the interviews with witnesses, Sam Hall, a coach at the elementary school, stated he saw a suspicious-looking driver parked in a vehicle in an alley beside the school. Hall had been supervising a group of children while playing in the playground. He noticed the suspicious vehicle. According to Hall, the driver was making strange gestures and was struggling with the stick shift. Hall had memorized the license plate, which he wrote it down during that time. He later gave it to police after hearing Vicki went missing. During the investigation, detectives traced the license plate to a 28-year-old Los Angeles man named Frank Jarvis Atwood. When agents ran a background check, they found kidnapping and child molestation charges. Atwood was also out on parole in California. Detectives went to the address where Atwood's vehicle was registered, but Atwood was not there. The home belonged to Atwood's parents, Frank Jarvis Atwood Sr., a retired Army Brigade general, and his wife. After detectives left, a few hours later, Atwood called his parents and complained about his car had broken down in Texas and he needed money wired to get it fixed. While on the phone, Atwood's mother wrote down the address where Atwood awaited a new transmission. After hanging up, Atwood's father drove to a nearby payphone and reported the address to the detectives, in which they took immediate action and detained Atwood and his traveling companion, James McDonald, in a mechanic shop on September 20th, where their vehicle was also impounded. During questioning, Atwood admitted to investigators he was in Vicki's neighborhood on September 17th, the day she disappeared, staying in a nearby park. Atwood stated that around 3 p.m. he left to buy drugs and returned to the park around 5 p.m., but did not say where he was during the 2 hours period. When questioning Atwood's friend, McDonald, he corroborated Atwood's story and told investigators that he and Atwood had an argument in the park around 3 p.m. that same day. After that, Atwood left for 2 hours and returned with bloodstains on his hands and clothing. During further investigation, investigators found 2 men who came forward and claimed Atwood spent 2 nights in their trailer. One of the men, known as Mad Dog, claimed that when he saw Atwood, he had bloodstains on his clothes and hands, and that they had suggested Atwood get rid of the clothes. Atwood told them as well that he stabbed a double-crossing drug dealer. While no physical evidence in the car could be linked to Vicki's disappearance, accident reconstruction experts matched pink paint on the front bumper of Atwood's vehicle to the color of the paint on Vicki's bike. We traced damage to the car's gravel pan to one of Vicki's bike's pedal. Traces of nickel plating from Atwood's vehicle's bumper were also found on the bike. When returning to the site where the bike was found, investigators discovered damage to the mailbox post about 12 inches above the ground, consistent with the height of Atwood's sports car, and believed this to be the spot where the car allegedly struck Vicki's bike at a slow speed. Sadly, Atwood's alleged bloodstained clothing from the day of Vicki's disappearance was never recovered. On April 12, 1985, a hiker found a small skull in the Tucson desert, about 20 miles from where Vicki's bike was found. The rest of the skeleton had been scattered by animals. Due to the state of the remains, the cause of death could not be determined, nor whether the child had been sexually abused. Dental records did confirm, though, that the remains did belong to Vicki. Traces of tissue found on the skull fixed the time that the body had been placed in the desert within 48 hours of Vicki's disappearance. Atwood was eventually found guilty of first-degree murder and was sentenced to death on May 8, 1987. During his year on death row, Atwood had gotten married, baptized in a Greek Orthodox Christian church, obtained 2 associate's degrees, a bachelor's degrees in English and pre-law, and a master's degree in literature. He had also written 6 books, 5 of which were published. He also was working with people on the outside to create a website. In 2012, Atwood was the longest seated prisoner on death row. He claims that the police tampered with the evidence found in his car and that no physical evidence had been found placing Vicki in his vehicle. His ongoing appeals for review of his case have been denied. After her daughter's murder, Debbie Clarkson became a victim rights activist. She helped establish a victims advocacy group called the We the People. She worked the passage of the Arizona Victims Bill of Rights, which was passed in 1990, and helped institute Southern Arizona's Amber Alert system in 2000. As of this day, Frank Jarvis Atwood is currently serving his time on death row.